All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Today is April 24th, 2024. Welcome to our City Council meeting for the fantastic City of Mableton. Thank you all for being here. With that being said, we want to go straight on into the agenda. With that said, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mayor Owens.
Present.
Council Member of District 1, Ron Davis.
Present.
Council Member of District 2, Dami Oladapo.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council Member of District 3, Keisha Jeffcoat.
Present.
Council Member District 4, Patricia Auk.
Present.
Council Member District 5, TJ Ferguson.
Present.
And Council Member of District 6, Deborah Herndon.
Present.
We have our quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that being said, I'd like to go into our invocation. For invocation tonight, I would like to ask, would Mr. Barry Smith, the Executive Minister of First Christian Church of Mableton, would you lead us in invocation, please?
I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Let's pray. Father God, I give you thanks for this city. I give you thanks for these servant leaders that are here. We just give you praise that we have the opportunity to freely come before you and throw up requests to you. And we just do request that you make this evening presentable, and may you be glorified in all that we do. Be with all these leaders as they make decisions for the future of this city. Be with the people that are here to speak publicly. Be with the people here that are to proclaim reading or the National Day of Prayer. Father God, we give you thanks that we can do this as a community in this country freely. And for that, I give you praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. All right, for item 4, which are Pledge of Allegiance, Councilman Ferguson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Please stand if you may.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know how many Marines we have here tonight. So I would like to move on to item 5, which is the approval of agenda. Council, you guys have been provided an agenda several days in advance. I would like to entertain a motion of the approval of the agenda as written.
I motion to approve the agenda as written.
I second.
Thank you. So moved and seconded. I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you for that, and we will utilize the agenda and move forward. This takes us to item 6 in the agenda, which is our acknowledgements and proclamations. There are a few, actually 3 proclamations and acknowledgement that we have this evening. I think I want to just do these in order. The first one is the proclamation in recognition of the City of Mableton Mayor's Reading Club Day. I know this has been in the works for a while from a couple of different entities that I've spoken with about the reading club. I don't have to tell anyone here the importance of promoting reading throughout the city and elsewhere, particularly with our youth. It's something that's talked about quite a bit. I do want to recognize some attendees that we have related to this, and then I will actually read the proclamation. So first and foremost is Miss Irene Barton, who was the first to introduce me to this program. I know that several other mayors are doing it, but we're bringing this to Mableton, so I'm happy for that. She's the Cobb Collaborative Executive Director. We also have Barbie Erderly, who is a board member, Mr. Barry Smith, who is a board member, Major James Bullock, Chair-elect, and Kay Love, who is the Managing Director of Georgia City Solutions. So thank you all for being here today to represent the organization as well as the reading club. Now, I assume, Ms. Barton, this also comes with a schedule of dates for me to go read at schools, maybe, and to we're making our rounds. So I will, I'll read this. Whereas literacy is not just an educational issue, it's an economic, workforce, and quality of life issue. And whereas research shows that children who can't read proficiently by the end of 3rd grade are more likely to experience poor health, have discipline problems, and to drop out of high school. And whereas each year in the United States, low literacy levels are linked to hundreds of billions of dollars in non-productivity, healthcare, and judicial costs. And whereas 68% of Georgia 4th graders do not read proficiently. And whereas collaborative efforts and strategic partnerships must be undertaken to address literacy issues, and whereas the Mayor's Reading Club program is offered through Georgia City Solutions, a Georgia Municipal Association managed nonprofit, and whereas the goal of the program is to improve literacy skills and overall success with early reading among children and youth in Georgia cities through encouragement, support, and leadership from our city mayors. Whereas the goal of the program is to improve literacy skills and the overall success with early reading among children and youth in Georgia cities through I was going to say, wait a minute, reading this same part again. It's kind of long here. Whereas Georgia City Solutions has commissioned a children's book series to be used as part of the program to teach young readers about local government, and the copy of the first 2 books of the series are titled Georgia Caroline Visits City Hall and Georgia Caroline Visits Our Hometown Heroes, provided in a program starter kit that we will have. Whereas the Mayor's Reading Club is flexible and delivered in person or virtually and promotes partnerships, collaboration between cities, counties, schools, public libraries, nonprofits, and the business community. I now, therefore, Michael Owens, Mayor of the City of Mableton, do hereby join the Mayor's Reading Club program and proclaim April 24th, 2024 as the Mayor's Reading Club Day. So thank you for that. Would you mind coming up, please?
Does he get to read his first book?
If you would like to say.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're just delighted to welcome Mayor Owens to the Mayor's Reading Club in Cobb County. That makes you are the 5th mayor. So the pressure's on for the other holdouts. We will be working on you. And I want to acknowledge a couple of other folks in the room. We have another board member, Allison Curtis, who joined us. And then we have Joe Lehman with the Cobb County Public Library, which is the library system of the year for Georgia. We could not do this work without them. We are delighted to work with all community partners to increase awareness of the importance of literacy, particularly in those first 5 years. It all begins at home, and we're delighted to be a part of that. And as part of the Mayor's Reading Club, we will have 30 kits delivered each month to the South Cobb Regional Library. Each kit contains a themed book and a craft that a family can do together. And then we are going to be working with some community sponsors to hopefully put in a coupon for maybe a free treat or something like that. Hey, business owners, I'm looking at you. to foster that sense of family togetherness and, while we're also improving kindergarten readiness, which is the gateway to 3rd grade reading proficiency. So I think that's it.
Thank you. Okay, the next proclamation we have is in recognition of Day of Prayer. This proclamation is actually on behalf of, obviously, National Day of Prayers, but also specifically as it relates locally here to the city of Mableton, the Mableton Pastors Collective, which consists of numerous friends and people in the community, and thank you all for being here. If you could, when I announce your name, just raise your hand so people can know who you are. Mr. Barry Smith, Executive Minister for First Christian Church of Mableton. Darrell Young, pastor of the Pillar Church. Charlotte Young, pastor of the Pillar Church. Dale Stevens, lead pastor of Pure Hope Church. Bishop Sherman Scott, pastor of Grace City Church. Didn't see him. Reggie Fields, pastor of Revive Church Atlanta. Henry Adigosby, got you, executive pastor of Jubilee Christian Church. Jeff Davis, senior pastor of Mount Pisgah Baptist Church. And Pastor Corey and Pastor Elizabeth from Victory International Center. See you guys back there as well. Thank you all for being here today. I do appreciate it. And so I will read the National Day of Prayer Proclamation. Whereas throughout history, America has faced trials and triumphs, and America has responded in prayer, seeking courage, comfort, inspiration, and joy-filled celebration. Faith compels us to seek and cling to the light in times of darkness and spread light to those in need. From the first gatherings of our founding fathers, elected officials have prayed and entreated on the services represented to join them in prayer, including the authors of our Declaration of Independence, who wrote, "The representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world, and carried on the present day as the presidential proclamation, such as last year's invitation to join him, asking for God's continued guidance, prayer, and protection." And whereas the National Day of Prayer has not only been a part of our heritage since the declaration of the Continental Congress in 1775, it has been part of public law established by Congress in 1952. In 1998, this was affirmed that it's essential for us as a nation to pray, and directs the President of the United States to set aside and proclaim the first Thursday of May annually as National Day of Prayer. Whereas every state across America has observance of the National Day of Prayer being held on Thursday, May 2nd, this year with the theme of Lift Up the World, Lift Up the Word, Light Up the World, and whereas unified prayer is mobilized across America every first Thursday for the National Day of Prayer, neighbors come together to join their hearts and voices and read sacred scriptures and attend services to seek God for the city, country, as we work, learn, live, worship, serve, and desire all to thrive. We express our faith and exercise our prayer of freedom, then unite our hearts and voices in personal prayer and public gatherings across America with fervent praise, repentance, love, and humble intercession for our nations, or for our neighbors and our nation. Therefore, I, Michael Owens, Mayor of Mableton, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the City of Mableton, hereby proclaim May 2nd as National Day of Prayer. Any representation? Yeah, can we? If I called your name earlier, would you please come up, Pastor? Thank you all. And our last proclamation for today is something that you may have seen online with many other cities, being that this month is, this week is a celebration of America government, and the National League of Cities has a historic centennial event, and this is what this proclamation is for. National Cities, Towns, Villages Month. Whereas the National League of Cities, founded in 1924, by the American Municipal Association, by the State Municipal League, seeking coordination and national representative of cities, towns, and villages, and whereas nonpartisan National League of Cities is the oldest and largest organization representing municipal governments throughout the United States, representing more than 19,000 cities, towns, governments, and villages across the country. And whereas today the National League of Cities works in partnership with 49 municipal leagues across the country to strengthen local leadership, drive innovation, and influence federal policies that impact local programs and operations. Whereas the voice of cities, towns, and villages in Washington, D.C., the National League of Cities has successfully challenged federal legislation solutions that support local municipalities and have worked closely with Congress and the executive branch to educate policymakers on the realities of local implementation. Whereas the City of Mableton is a proud member of the National League of Cities and has benefited from the organization's research, technical experience, federal advocacy, and opportunities to learn from other local governments. And whereas local governments are the bedrock of American democracy, providing 336 million residents with the most accountable, responsive, inclusive, and ethical, transparent governments in the world. Whereas from the nation's smallest villages to the largest cities, America's local governments have been essential in transforming the United States of America into the greatest, most influential body in the world's history. Whereas the City of Mableton was first incorporated in 2022 and is proud today, and I am to say as Michael Owens, Mayor of Mableton, Councilmember Ron Davis from District 1, Councilmember Damiel Ladapo, District 2, Mayor Pro Tem Keisha Jeffcoat, District 3, Councilmember Patricia Auk from District 4, Councilmember TJ Ferguson from District 5, Councilmember Herndon from District 6, and our municipal workforce and dedicated public servants. Now, therefore, it be resolved, the City of Mableton hereby proclaims May 2024 as National Cities, Towns, Villages Month in celebration of America's local government and the National League of Cities' historic centennial anniversary. Thank you. I will resort to the abbreviated versions going forward, I think. But I will make note of NLC being the national organization to represent cities. And this past year, I think we had 2 of our council members that attended the NLC conference in Washington, D.C. And they both have talked about it before as how influential and important it was to go up and spend time learning. And we constantly get information from NLC about, just like we do locally with GMA, NLC is that national organization that kind of can help not only guide us, but also fight for us at the Capitol, in Congress, as well as the executive office, to make sure that cities, their rights are upheld as we move forward. So thank you all for going with us through the proclamations. And thank you and congratulations, everyone, for their proclamations. Those are the 3 that were listed on there, but since this section is for acknowledgements and proclamations, I want to take a second to acknowledge that today, April 24th, is also National Admin Assistance Day. And so very early on, the work that we do here as a city, the work specifically I've had to do as mayor and the support that the council and staff has had, we could not be able to get this done without the executive assistant that I have within the office of the mayor that is here throughout the entire council. So Madam Lily Smith, if you wouldn't mind coming up for a moment, please. While it's not a proclamation, it is a card that we've gotten her and the council and staff have all signed. So I just want to say to you, thank you for the work that you do, for the work you consistently do, not only for me, but for the entire council and our staff. Your work has been amazing since day one, and I look forward to continuing to work with you for many years to come. Thank you. All right, that now takes us to item 7. Congratulations and thank you to everyone that was part of all the proclamations today. I think they were very meaningful and will serve us well going forward into the future, so thank you all. This moves us to item 7, which is the report that we have for BS&A financial software presentation that was brought up in our last meeting, discussion about the software itself. I know there were a couple of questions that came out of that, and wanted to make sure our finance consultant, Frank Milazi, had an opportunity to address the council as it relates to this item. So, Mr. Milazi, take it away, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you recall, last meeting, you approved our software, financial software, and you had requested if you could ask some questions to our representative. So I have Mr. Kelvin Schaefer, who is representing BS&A, whom you may ask questions that you may have. You discussed last time you wanted to know about the integration, you wanted to know about the security, and hopefully they can connect us. He is available through online, and our technical people will connect. There he is, Mr. Schaefer. He is the council and the governing body for questions and some explanations from you. Now I hand over to the council and to the mayor what you may ask Mr. Schaefer about what you wanted to know about our upcoming software.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Milazi. Mr. Schaefer, hi. Thank you for visiting us virtually today. It looks like, do you have a PowerPoint or presentation or is that just the?
I did put together a short presentation just to tell you all a little bit about BS&A software. I don't know if it will address your exact questions, but I'm happy to go through it.
I didn't hear that very clearly, but it sounded like he does have something.
Yeah, yes, correct. Go ahead, Kevin, if you go ahead and show your presentation to the council.
Absolutely. So thank you all for allowing me to present here this evening. I want to just tell you a little bit about BS&A software. And as we go here, just a brief introduction. BS&A software, our mission is to be the trusted partner of choice for local governments, delivering innovative solutions and best-in-class service to empower our customers and their communities to thrive. So as we go through, I know that the city is new and the city is going to be growing. And I wanted to sort of outline the different suites that we offer and some of the different modules. We have our financial management, which this is a big chunk of what we're looking at here. With this, the general ledger, budgeting, project and grant accounting, bank rec, cash receiving, accounts payable, accounts receivable, purchase order, fixed assets, inventory management. And I won't read through all of these. Human resource management, including the payroll and HR management, utilities, utility billing, work orders, the community development, and then the assessing and property tax. So we do have a wide array of suites. With that, we also have the citizen self-service, whether it's online bill pay, online permit applications, applying for a business license, all of that can be done virtual, and you can empower the citizens to be able to do that. Set up a few numbers that tell a lot about the company. We have over 2,100 clients using our software. Those are all local and county government, right? That spans across 19 states. We've been in business since 1986. In that time, we've only had 4 clients ever that have left us to go to a competitor solution. So 4 out of over 2,000, we're very proud of that retention. The Net Promoter Score, this is a number that's used when you survey your clients to sort of get the feedback. And, to give you an idea, Amazon's Net Promoter Score is in the 40s, right? Most software companies, if you're above 20, that's pretty amazing. And ours is 47. Some of the other companies that provide software to local governments actually have negative scores. So 47 is sort of unheard of in this industry. And lastly is the less than 60 minutes is our guaranteed response time. So from the time that you reach out to us, we're getting back to you. All support is local. We're based in Lansing, Michigan, so not too far, but the same time zone as you as well. So we are Eastern time zone. Hours are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I just put together a list of our clients in the state of Georgia. Right, so we have quite a few, some that are very close to you, right? The city of Woodstock is not very far, and you can see they vary in sizes. City of Tucker was very similar situation, right? They were a startup city, as was Peachtree Corners. So I wanted to put that out there, tell you a little bit about us, and now I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you for that, Ms. Schaefer. I do appreciate it. First, I did take note since our last meeting to dig into this a little more specifically around some of the other companies or some of the other cities that you're working with, most notably Woodstock and Peachtree Corners, who I have a pretty good relationship with both of those mayors and quite frankly know their shop and understand how they work, which gave me a great deal of comfort with understanding how the software works and the pieces around it. I guess the only question I would have right now, and this was something that was brought up at our last meeting, was around integration, implementation, and the ability for your organization or willingness for your organization to work with us, again, as being a new city, to integrate with existing software we have and also be there for the actual implementation and post-implementation work that will be necessary.
Yes, and you know, when I had, in working with Frank to put together the contract, we are planning on being on site, right? I know I'm here virtually today. I was not able to be there, but our implementation staff will be there at City Hall working with your staff to get you up and running live with the software. Also understanding that, you know, you are growing, right? You are very much a startup city, so there will be, you know, things that may be implemented later on, or you may grow into some pieces of the software. As far as integration with current software, could you help me understand what piece of software we're looking to integrate with?
So currently we have a vendor that is doing our business licenses. So we can talk specifically about that aspect. But also we utilize Google Suite as our productivity software across the board, but mainly it's looking at what we're doing around our business license, ensuring there's integration with that, with our, if you're just doing from a finance perspective, I guess GIS wouldn't come into play and a lot of that, parcels and that type of information. But it is likely that down the road some of that will come into play more, and I want to make sure that whatever we utilize, that there is integration work that will be done and can be done.
Yeah, as far as, I mean, GIS is something we integrate with most everyone real time through your Esri web services, through RESTful services. We can integrate through API with GIS. As far as the business license information, we absolutely can take a look at that. It would probably just be getting that financial information into our software, and that would not be a problem.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
Hi, this is Councilwoman Keisha Jeffcoat. I had a quick question. Is this cloud-based or on-premise?
It is cloud-based. It resides exclusively in Microsoft Azure.
Thank you.
Anyone else? What is your anticipated or normal timeline for implementation from contract to delivery? And when I say delivery, I mean to contract to, you know, online operating activity.
I mean, normally for a normal city, that's like 12 to 18 months. You know, in working with and speaking with Frank, we can do it much sooner here. In fact, once we have the signed contract, we will schedule a call to kick this project off and should be able to have you operational within the next 60 days.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The only other question I have is obviously around security of data that's housed in your software. What security protocols do you normally institute?
So we do, you know, it resides exclusively in Microsoft Azure. The data is encrypted. It does require multi-factor authentication, and we do abide by the standards of Microsoft Azure. I can certainly provide you with documentation, maybe a white paper relating to our security, or is there anything specific relating to security?
We're not going into GovCloud, I assume, so I'm just trying to think of what is the security protocols that you put in place, SOC or all the different levels.
SOC 1 and 2, and I can provide you with those reports.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I don't think we have any other questions.
Thank you so
Thank
much, Mr. Schaefer, for attending to questions that our governing body had, and we will be working forward. I will be working with you to have our project be implemented.
Great.
I look forward to it. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right,
I'm sorry, real quick.
go ahead, Councilman.
Mr. Milazi, so they have multiple, and I didn't want to ask on that, but they have multiple modules. The module that we are looking into is purely the financial management module?
That's what we asked for. So as we implement, as you see that they have community development, so it will be up to us to say, do we have already software that can be integrated with the BS&A, or since BS&A has already it, we are going to get it. The same thing with business license. We contracted for some time to start with. Then it will be BS&A has got a business license. Do we have to integrate with what we have, or instead of duplicating, we just have to take what they have? But it will be up to us as we are bringing in the departments we are creating. Human resources is there we don't have. It will be up to us, but it will be bringing forward to you through the city manager, proposing to you, then you decide, let's do this. But they have almost most of what we need.
Thank you.
Frank, is the contract an annual contract or a couple of years?
Say it again?
Is the contract an annual contract?
It is, the contract is one time, but the supporting is annually. So you have the supporting, we don't have the saver, there will be crowd-based, so we have to pay annually.
Oh, okay.
And it's in the documentation that you passed, it's in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to move us to item 8, which is the public comment section. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment cards?
Yes, Mayor. I have 4. And our very first speaker, but let me remind you, there is a 2-minute time limit, and it's not conversation back and forth because we do have a business meeting going on and the mayor and council needs to get on with the business, but they are listening and they will address your concerns later. So our first person to speak is Robin Meyer, and she is with District 3.
Thank you very much. On behalf of all of us at the Mableton Improvement Coalition, we want to thank the mayor and the city council for your involvement with the Taste of Mableton, Mr. Mayor for serving as Grand Marshal of the parade, and for all of you for coming out and helping us celebrate Mableton. It was a great day. It showed off all the diversity and wonder that is Mableton, and we're very proud and happy to have been able to bring it to the community, and thank you for your support. We're also glad to see your transition to bringing zoning into your operations. As you know, zoning along with the comprehensive plan are probably the 2 most crucial things that you'll undertake that will shape the future of our community. And it's going to be a great opportunity throughout both these processes for the community to turn up and come out and speak up for what they see as the future of Mableton. We support the use of a consultant for this specialized and very time-consuming work, and we're pleased to know that the firm is proposing Rob Hosack as a lead. Of course, Rob is familiar with Cobb County operations, but he's also very familiar with South Cobb and the challenges that the one-size-fits-all Cobb County ordinance has posed for this area. The contract provides for stakeholder consultation and input, and we appreciate that very much. We also hope that the final product will contain some best practices for public participation, above and beyond what Cobb County now offers. The city's process should require applicants to hold community meetings shortly after applications are filed so that everyone can learn about their plans. The city website should contain up-to-date filings on each application in a user-friendly format. And the application process should require full information about a project before it's accepted and placed on your calendars for hearings. That, along with the fact that zoning decisions about Mableton will soon be made by Mabletonians at meetings held here in Mableton, will make this process accessible to citizens and fair to property owners. We look forward to working with you and your consultant to make this the best possible process for our city. So it's so important for our future. We will do all we can to assist, and we hope that you'll reach out to us and let us help in any way that we can. Thank you.
Next, we have Pastor Warren Roberts of Grail Community Church, and he's with District 4.
Good evening, Mayor, and to the board, council board, and to all the citizens of Mableton, Georgia. I just come here to introduce myself as Pastor Warren Roberts. The church is Point of Grace Community Church, located on Community Road in Mableton. This is my first time being here. I just wanted to introduce myself to the board as well as the community. We've been here for about 4 years now by way of Sugar Hill, Atlanta, and now our home, Mableton. So I just wanted to introduce myself. Our name is Community Church, so we wanted to get involved with the community and make ourselves visible to the community in any way that we can, help or lift up the community. We are here to do that. And also, I want to invite everybody out to Friends and Family Day this Sunday, if you would like to come. We're having fun, we're having church, and then we're having fun for the children and everything, and for the community, games and food, and just have a great time at the community church, Point of Grace Community Church in Mableton. I'm out of the District 4, where Patricia Auk is our council person. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
And now we have Joe Lehman of District 1. And following Ms. Lehman is Sheila Edwards of District 3, and that will be the last one after Ms. Edwards.
Good evening. I'm Joe Lehman, Regional Manager for the South Cobb region of the Cobb County Public Library System. Tonight, I would like to announce that registration is open for summer 2024 Vision to Learn appointments at Cobb County Public Libraries. 8 Cobb County Public Library locations will serve as sites for Vision to Learn mobile clinics in June and July to provide eye exams and glasses free of charge for children ages 5 through 18. The national nonprofit Vision to Learn has visited Cobb libraries during summer break since 2018 to serve kids in need of vision, care, and glasses for school and life. Almost 500 children received glasses through the 2023 clinics at Cobb County Public Libraries. Locations, close to 1,500 children have received glasses from Vision to Learn at Cobb County Libraries over the past 6 years. Registration for Vision to Learn appointments is required and space is limited, but to register, you go to the library's website, cobbcat.org, and the upcoming summertime 2024 Vision to Learn library visits all are scheduled from 9:30 to 2:30 p.m., and they will be at the South Cobb Regional Library, Schweitzer Library, Sewell Mill Library, Sibley Library, North Cobb Regional Library, Powder Springs, Stratton, and West Cobb Libraries. The Vision to Learn visits are part of a Cobb County Public Library collaboration with Learn for Life, a Metro Atlanta regional education partnership for students' success to make the region a more equitable and prosperous community. Vision to Learn is promoted as a bright spot for early literacy. My time is up. But receiving glasses provide equivalent of 2 to 6 months of additional learning and can help prevent dropout and juvenile delinquency. So how does a child know that they need glasses? Well, they don't. That's why exams are important. So if you go to the website and it says the site is full, do not fret, just send an email and get on the waiting list. They usually add another clinic if there are enough people on the waiting list. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And then Sheila Edwards of District 3, the last card.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sheila Edwards, and I am a member of District 3, and
My councilperson is Councilwoman Jeff Coat. I want to first say congratulations to the mayor and city council on winning the legal case against the city of Mableton. I understand that the other side is going to appeal, but I believe that Cobb Superior Court Judge Sonia Brown got the ruling right. Congratulations to Mayor Owens and others who were elected 1 year ago on April 18th. I continue to urge you to move forward in collectively putting the pieces in place to make the city work. This means showing why the citizens elected you as its leadership, so Godspeed. As a homeowner and taxpayer, I continue to be concerned about the triple taxes being imposed on Cobb County residents. I attended a commission meeting on last night, and many of the comments echoed how I feel about triple taxes. The county must tighten its belt before asking citizens to do more. Next, I live on Veterans and Discovery, and when I drive into Atlanta using Veterans that turns into Hollowell, I'm always amazed as the area is transforming with new buildings and structures going up on either side of the roadway. My mind often goes back to Mableton and Magnolia Crossing. That's 50 acres of prime real estate that we have been begging to have developed for almost 20 years to no avail. For those of you who are not familiar with Magnolia Crossing, it's right down the street with a beautiful view of the Atlanta skyline waiting to be developed. It is my, as Mableton moves forward, I hope it would make developing Magnolia Crossing into the diamond that it should be. There was a recent article in the newspaper where the Atlanta Housing Authority was seeking public input on the development of the former public housing site, Bankhead Courts, in northwest Atlanta. It has sat dormant for a while, but not as long as Magnolia Crossing. But they are moving the needle ahead on that. So just as they have reimagined Bankhead Courts, I hope we'll take the time to reimagine Magnolia Crossing. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more cards.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge our state representative, Terry Cummings, who is here. Madam Cummings, do you have a comment to make this evening? Please address us.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First, Mayor and City Council, it's great to see you guys. And everybody out here, it's great to see you. The session for this year is over, and we managed to get 2 local bills passed. 1330, which establishes the local Mableton Development Council, and House Bill 1337, which provides for a much-needed excise tax for the city and hotels so that we can move forward. They almost didn't make it through, but they did make it through, and we expect the governor to sign those into law pretty soon, hopefully pretty soon. And I will be having a town hall on Monday, April 29th, at First Christian Church of Mableton, along with Senator Donzella James. We have really been without a functional senator for a couple of years because the current senator is ill, but she is not going to be running again. There will be election, just to be open about it. But I'm looking forward to working with Senator James, and hope you can come out on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Representative. Do you have any copies of the flyer for the upcoming town hall? Do you have any copies for the flyer for the upcoming town hall? Okay. So if you want to know more about the town hall, flyers are out front. And with that being said, this closes our public comment section for this evening. Thank you for everyone who took the time to have your say. Item 9 in the agenda is our consent agenda. There's how many items? There are 3 items on the consent agenda, which is the April 10th regular meeting minutes, the April 10th work session meetings, and item C is consideration approval for adopting the agenda, submitting, and posting process policy. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
So moved. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. We'll move on to unfinished business, which is item 10. Item 10 is consideration and approval of ordinance creating Chapter 2 Administration, Article 3 of the Code of Ethics for the City of Mableton Code of Ordinance. This is the second read. The first read was May 24th, 2023. It was up at our last meeting, but it was tabled. With that being said, I'll entertain the motion from Councilman Ferguson to bring this motion from the table once again.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to bring this from the table and bring it up for today and to get a motion and get this thing passed.
Thank you. Is that your official motion for this, basis of this? Okay, do I have a second?
Is the motion just to have discussion, or is this to get it passed? Did you mention that? I just want to be clear what
It's
you're
bring from the
making.
table.
Okay, thank you. I'll second the motion, but Honorable Mayor, I would like to request that our clerk reflect in today's minutes that the ethics ordinance provided to the council in today's agenda packet does not reflect the consensus of the council at our last meeting. The motion made by Councilman Ferguson was that the composition of the ethics board would be comprised of 3 members selected at random from a pool of 7. The composition of the ethics board provided in the proposed ordinance in today's packet states the composition of the ethics board would only be 2 members chosen at random, and that the mayoral appointee would sit on the panel for every single ethics case.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ogg. The motion has been made. I'm sure that will be entered into the minutes. Do we have a second?
I'm sorry, just to be clear, what are we what?
You've made a motion. Okay. It now needs to be second before we can vote on the consideration or approval of this.
I thought Councilwoman Ock seconded before she made a comment. Did you second?
I'll second to bring it to discussion.
Yes.
Yes. I'll second it.
All right, so let me be clear about this. So the motion that's on the floor right now is under consideration and approval of the ordinance itself. It was tabled. Now we're up for consideration of approval. That is the motion in the agenda as written.
And I will rescind my second.
Okay, so then do we have a second for consideration and approval?
Yes, I second.
Thank you. Motion being made and seconded. All right, I'm going to call the question on this. I'd like to go ahead and move forward with a vote. All those in favor of consideration and approval of the ordinance creating Chapter 2 Administration, Article 3, please say aye.
I'm sorry, hold on just a second.
What,
I'm sorry.
okay, I agree.
So I made the motion to bring it off the table. That was seconded, right?
Okay, what?
I'm asking a question.
No, what's on the agenda is consideration for approval.
Okay.
So you're bringing off the table what is the unfinished business.
Okay, so is that to open up a conversation about what we have in the agenda packet?
So once it's seconded, we can have discussion. Is that what it's about?
Yes, did we already second, I think?
It has been seconded.
Okay, so now
So
can
the
we have a
question is, so I
conversation?
can ask, is there any discussion specifically about consideration or approval?
Yes, I have a question. Based on the council's discussion the last meeting, the motion that Councilman Ferguson made was to rewrite this so it reflects that 3 members will be selected from the 7 pool at random. But what we have in the packet today is saying that 2 members will be selected at random with a standing appointee of the mayor on every ethic issue. Can we do that?
Well, so and to your question, I want to.
She has a question. Can it be answered first?
Yes, I just want to know if we can do that. If we, a motion was made to have something on the agenda for today, and what we have on the agenda is different from the motion that was made the last meeting. I just want to get clarification on that process.
So there was a motion that was made last meeting. So if you recall at last meeting, you had substantial discussion on this issue in the workshop and in the regular meeting. So my request was for me to be able to put it in writing so you can see what's there before you adopt it. So you didn't approve it, but now you have the opportunity to actually see what's there. I have learned that what's there is a difference of interpretation, but I think that issue is moot because you didn't approve anything last meeting. So whatever you decide today, that's what the face of the ordinance will be. And the difference in interpretation is there was discussion last meeting to do two things, particularly by Councilman Ferguson, and it was to extend the term of the members to mirror the council members' term. And then it was also to remove the requirement that the mayor's appointee be an attorney. Now, when Councilman Ferguson made that motion, he referred to the selection process as I think it's the exact wording, I looked at the minutes when this was brought up to me. It was 3-member random selection.
Right.
So I interpreted that to mean that you're going to have a 3-member panel and the process will involve random selection. However, it's my understanding that another interpretation was to actually remove the mayor from having a permanent appointment. And I think that can be a reasonable interpretation. I didn't understand it that way because there was just no discussion back and forth on removing the mayor from having a permanent appointment. So I did not facilitate that change. But if that is the will of the council, we can easily facilitate that change because the whole purpose of me in last meeting and putting this in writing was for you to be able to see what's before you adopt it. So it's your discussion, not discussion, it's your discretion. So whatever you advise the composition you want to be, a quorum of you tonight, that will be the composition.
Okay, I have to say, I'm a little disappointed about your interpretation because this is 3-member random selection. A 3-member random selection is different from a 2-member random selection and 1 standing appointee. So I just don't understand how that could have been misinterpreted, but I guess if there are no other comments, we can move to approve.
Councilman Ferguson, could you clarify what it is that you did mean in your motion, just so it's on the record, what it is that you stated and what it is that you intended?
I certainly can. I'm reading the minutes, and the mayor's appointment not need to be an attorney and have the 3-member random selection and the duration not to exceed the length of the council member who selected the position. That is 100% what I said, and what I believe. So as you kind of go back and look at all of this ordinance's history, it's said things a couple different ways, and at one point it did say the 2 + 1. It is I will go out on a limb and say I did not specifically state when I made that motion that I was looking to change that thought process of what it has been in the past, and did not necessarily clarify, but specifically stated 3-member random selection versus the 2 to 1. So I definitely say that that was a miss by me, and that's something that I should have said to make sure that this was a non-conversation, and that it was not left up to interpretation. So we can have conversation. I think that my big thing is to say, let's make and I don't want to speak out of turn, but create the motion to say, let's approve this with the edit that it is a 3-member random selection, and as stated in my previous motion.
Then what I would ask that you do, Councilman Ferguson, because this motion was based on what you had made as a change from the last version, right? So when we mentioned about what's the delta, what is the change? So, and this is what the attorney was talking about. The interim discussion in between, quite frankly,
is moot.
It is moot, right? So you have to go back to the first read. The delta, the change that you are requesting from that, if it has to be 3 changes. right? Because it has to be not only me not having a attorney, which was the ask, right?
Not forcing you to have an attorney.
Not forcing me to have an attorney. I will go on record and I'll say, I would expect and want every council member to place an attorney on this.
True.
And I don't think I'm alone with that sentiment. As a quasi-judicial board of an ethics board, I see no problem why there should not be an attorney on an ethics board. I just think it's commonplace in many cities across the state, and while there seems to be an issue with having a attorney on this board, I don't understand. But having free will, to your point, right, of allowing anybody to have it, boils down to this. Your motion will need to be amended, and I'll ask that it be amended now, if possible, to exactly the changes that you had, or the changes that you wanted, that you said you wanted to place in it. Make that amendment, make that motion with the changes, just the delta changes that you want, so it can be accurately recorded, and then so we can vote on that.
Can I add something to that motion, Councilman?
With all due respect, you can't, because it's his motion.
Yeah, he's going to make it, but I'm just adding one more stipulation. If we're adding one stipulation right now to have all three at random, can we add one more stipulation to it? So it's like 4 changes to the original Delta motion.
If it's his motion, so if he decides to, he can. Yeah, so he has the motion. Matt,
Okay.
thank you. He has the motion. So he has to make the motion, whatever his motion is, will be voted upon, it will carry or not. But you're free to say, if you have a comment right now as to what you would like the fourth one to be, please do so.
Yes, I want to mention that with the random selection, I think we're leaving it to Madam Clerk to randomly select. Is that going to be in the presence of the council, or is that just something that she does in her private time?
The motion, the ordinance itself says at the next regularly scheduled council meeting, that the clerk would identify those individuals.
Okay, so the random selection happens at the meeting?
No.
I don't think it does. If you look at the...
It would identify those individuals.
Yeah, it's page 5. So of the 3 items, 2, it sounds like everybody's on the same page. And that is the mayor appointee doesn't have to be an attorney, and that the members will serve concurrent with the official who appointed them, with the small exception that if there's a pending proceeding, they'll stay on for that proceeding versus having to leave the board.
Right.
So it looks like everyone's in agreement on that. So I think the only thing that's at contention now is the panel. And I just need definitive confirmation that you want to remove the mayor's appointee, because it sounds like I didn't interpret it at the last meeting to remove the mayor's appointee, but it sounds like that may have been the intent. So if you can provide clarification on that, I think that everyone on the panel will be in agreement with the ordinance.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're promoting transparency, because the way that this entire conversation has gone so far, I don't want a situation where any of the council members will influence the random selection decision, because that's a possibility.
Yeah, and the way it's working now is that it says upon receipt of a properly verified complaint, the city clerk within 30 days thereafter shall draw 2 members' names randomly from the non-mayoral appointed members of the ethics board. So assuming that it's your will that we remove the mayor's automatic appointment, then I will actually scratch that part out, and it'll just be whatever 3 are appointed, they'll serve on the board. So I'll make those adjustments. I just need confirmation tonight as to what is the collective will of the council.
When the random selection happens, are there going to be witnesses?
Ordinarily, the clerks, so in the other cities that we represent, and I think Susan used to do this too, ordinarily, we always advise have a witness present.
Okay, that's my thing, because we will have situation where, for example, if it's a ethic issue regarding one of us, it's possible for the selection process to be influenced based on that. So I want to make sure that we're either doing the random selection of the 3 people who will attend to that ethics situation, in public, or we have a witness when the random selection happens?
I've done this several times. I always have a witness.
Okay,
A
thank
lot of
you.
times I assign a number to the names, and then I have an application, a software I download, and it picks me a number. It picks
Perfect.
the numbers. And I have a witness that sees what the application picked. And
Okay.
it's very fair. And it doesn't happen often, but I've done
I
it
hope so.
a couple times.
Thank you.
In the ordinance, there's a section about determining if there's merit to the case being brought forward. It would be brought before the board. Is that going to be all 7 members, or is that also going to be 3 selected from a random pool of 7?
If you could just give me one, is there a specific subsection that you're referring to?
Hold on a second. I'm having
I can
some
try to
vision
find it
problems today.
too.
Where she's talking about is, and I don't know the specific subsection, but it states that,
Well, I think I may have found it. Is it, if
Yeah,
you
right
turn to
after
page
30
7,
days.
are you referring to board review subsection 3? It says, I'll read it, it says, upon receipt of a complaint in proper form,
Yeah,
the board
a
shall
properly
review it to
verified
determine.
complaint. How is that complaint verified, just so, for clarity?
So you mean the complaint in proper form, like who makes that determination?
yeah, it says upon receipt of a properly verified complaint
I don't know if that's actually the part that I'm
and
asking
timely
about.
forwarding of that complaint to the city council charged in the complaint, the city clerk within 30 days. So her question is, I'm putting words in your mouth, tell me if I am, is asking who verifies that this is a complaint that is a proper complaint?
That would be the clerk's responsibility,
I don't
ultimately.
think that's what I'm at. No. that
Like, for
wasn't-
example, we put requirements in here, they should still be in here, let's see. Yeah, so we put requirements as to the content and the composition of the complaint, that it has to have the name, email address, address, that it has to be signed under oath, that it has to be limited to alleged violations of the actual ethics article. So let's just say something's missing one of those, and the clerk would have
No, that's not what I'm asking. Is there a part of this that says something about it being frivolous or unmerited?
Yes, so
And
that is actually
the
what.
section I'm referring to.
Yeah, okay, that's the one I just referenced. That's the page 7, board review. And I think to answer your question, the board would make that determination.
Can you clarify what board means when they make that clarification?
That would be the panel that would be sitting and hearing the ethics complaint.
See, okay.
I have a question. As I'm sitting here, particularly about what you just said about interpretation, and I may be going back, and forgive me if I am doing this, because an attorney on the board, would that not make it, they make that determination as well? What I'm kind of looking at, I'm sorry, folks, I'm kind of a process improvement nerd, efficiency and all that kind of thing. And I believe in operating in as efficiently as possible, because it does save the city money and time. I'm just wondering, what is the disadvantage to having an attorney on the, we're talking about ethics here. We're talking about things that, there's interpretation of the law, just like the example from the last meeting that we had, where I asked you, Amelia, you know, what say you about what we were talking about as far as a violation of the charter? And you eloquently did that. So I'm trying to understand, in terms of operating at maximum efficiency as a council, what is the actual, and not doing this for argument's sake, but I'm just asking, what is the disadvantage of having an attorney as part of this? Because we're talking about ethics and interpretation and that kind of thing.
So my opinion would be that it would only be advantageous to have legal counsel or to have a board member who was an attorney. And in fact, multiple cities have a board that's only an attorney. It'll be a pool of attorneys, and that person, whoever's selected, will constitute the board for the purpose of that particular complaint. So I don't think there's any downside of having an attorney present on the board.
And that's what I'm trying to understand, because what I'm hearing is that there's a problem with having an attorney, but just based on, again, my nerdiness in terms of operational efficiency, I'm trying to understand, how is that, what are the cons to that? Or is there, well, I'm not hearing a con, so I'm just trying to understand why the pushback?
I don't think there is any pushback. It's just, if you would like to have an attorney, just make that your appointee. It was just not to make it a requirement so that the mayor and every council person could have the flexibility of appointing who they would like.
Okay, so
that's not a part of, actually stripped out of having. Yeah, so, sorry, actually, it was, to your point, Councilman Davis, it was stripped out for me to have explicitly have an attorney. But as Madam Clerk said, and from research with other cities, there are many other cities that require attorneys to sit on the board, right, for any or all of the positions. That is not part of the motion. Actually, the motion kind of goes backwards and takes the requirement to have a mayor out. However, any one of us could select a mayor. I mean, anyone else could select. You couldn't select a mayor because you can't have elected officials actually as part of the board. But nothing stops you from having, a bar certified attorney, right? It doesn't stop us. I do personally like the idea of having a requirement to have attorneys, at least because in this scenario, even going down to the randoms, if we go to 2 randoms, and as mayor, there's not an attorney present on there, then you could be looking at a panel with no attorneys on there. I'm not a fan of that.
And that's my fear, because again, we're talking about operating less than efficiently, and that's the problem I have. We don't ever want to get to that point where because let's take where there's no attorney on this board. Now what happens? We have to get an attorney, or we have to refer to an attorney when we can have the attorney right there on the board to interpret what we need to interpret to make sure that we are not in violation, or we're following, being as ethical as possible. So again, forgive my nerdiness, everyone, but that's just my business, and that's how I operate, and I'm just trying to come to an understanding. So
this is just an advisory board. It will have to still come before the mayor and city council, so we will still have our attorney to give interpretation if there is any legal question.
Sure, and I do understand that, Patty, and thank you for that. But still, I just feel that it would be more efficient to have one on there anyway. But that's just me again, my nerdiness.
Yeah, I mean, if we happen to have an attorney on the board, let's say one of your appointee is an attorney, I think that's fine. That we're not against that. But the motion that Councilman Ferguson made was to change this so the mayor's appointee will not be required to be an attorney.
So,
but we can happen to have an attorney. Either of us can have an attorney on the, as your appointee if you need to.
So I wasn't here during our last meeting, and I want to have an opportunity to weigh in a little about what some of the discussion is. I do believe that person who is on the ethics committee needs to have some level of ethics experience, whether that be public administration. And I do also want to get a better understanding of the direction that we're moving in. So what I hear, it sounds like there's going to be a 7-member board, and then there will be a lottery where it'll be at random selection in the event that some ethics complaint comes up. and then those three will be making the decision as to what happens with that particular complaint. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well,
I think.
it was correct as of last meeting, but now it's been changed where the mayor now has an appointee for every board. Last week, it was, from what I understood, it was a random drawing from 7 randomly. It wasn't like the mayor has appointee every single, it just whoever was selected was selected. But now we're looking at, that's how I saw it last week. And so now we're looking at where it's being written that the mayor has an appointee and only 2 are going to be drawn. Because last meeting it was 3, right? It was 3 randomly drawn, correct?
So I'm almost positive that the version you saw last meeting had 2 by the council and the mayor automatic. I'm almost 99.9% sure it did.
It 100% did. And again, that's why I go back to my comment and my amendment to the previous ordinance. It did not, I made the comment 3 random, but I did not explicitly state that I wanted to change that section that was in our previous to say from 1 that was the mayor's plus 2 randoms to it being 3 randoms. And I said it in my comment. I did not explicitly state, Madam Attorney, please change that verbiage.
So for me, taking out the mayor's appointment is a strong change to the ordinance. And I just didn't understand from that selection that that was the intent of Councilman Ferguson, because that is a substantial and major change, because the format that you had every panel with the mayor on it. And there was no discussion or back and forth about removing the mayor's appointee from that panel. But the good part is that because you gave me the liberty to show you in advance before you adopted, you were able to see before the meeting what was in place. And then this does give you the opportunity to give me definitive clarification on what the council wants. So I think one of the issues that's still lingering is there a consensus to remove the mayor's appointment? And if there is, there's also a couple of other cosmetic and minor things that I would like to add, but I would definitely need clarification as to whether there is a consensus to remove the mayor's appointment from the ordinance. Because it sounds like in talking to at least 2 council members and then 1 council member who spoke tonight, that was their intent to remove the mayor's appointment.
So Madam Clerk, Madam Attorney, to move us forward in this matter, I think if that goes back to the motion that's on the floor, and Councilman Ferguson has said, when we talked about deltas, what are those deltas, right? So if he makes his motion with that in there, with the other items, we can then move forward to a vote, put this past us, and move on, right?
I would like to see a 3rd read, just like you said that there was a benefit that this has become back in front of the council to see exactly what was made. Because of the confusion surrounding this ordinance, I would like to go another read so that it's very explicitly clear that what has been voted on or will be voted on is the consensus and direction of the council.
I duly noted, but that is not the motion that's on the floor. The motion on the floor right now, as our agenda states, is a consideration and approval of this ordinance because this is the 2nd read. Last week when we tabled it, there was discussion. So it's not like we've had 2 meetings now, we've already had discussion. This is the 3rd. The motion that is on the floor, and he can craft that motion however he'd like to make those changes that was discussed amongst other council members, but it is his motion that's on the floor, and we will proceed with a vote.
Are you saying there's not discussion?
That's what we've just been having, is discussion. So what I'm saying right now is I'm giving Councilman Ferguson to modify his amendment or his motion to what he said he meant to say last week. Once he makes his motion, it can be seconded if the council there chooses, and then we can move forward to vote.
Can you add a 3rd read to your motion, please?
I believe that clarification on what it is that we approved last year
Right.
last week, and making sure that that's actually what gets put into the ordinance is going to be done by me making this motion I'm about to make. And that motion is to amend the original, or the second read, we'll say that, to say that the mayor's appointment does not need to be an attorney, that we will have 3 members selected randomly from all 7 of the appointments, and the duration of the appointments is not to exceed the length of the council members who selected the person.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was the motion.
And can I add just some cosmetic amendments? Because I did not make those amendments because obviously, you know, I didn't want to put anything else in it because there were issues that were still on the floor. But I do have some cosmetic and substantive issues, if I could just add those on to that.
Well, go ahead and we'll see if we want to add those on.
Okay. So the first is just with representing other cities, we've had instances where their litigation ensued and someone got upset and they actually filed something related to the litigation against a particular council member, an employee or official. So my recommendation to my clients is if there is pending litigation and someone has an issue with that litigation, they are required to go before the judge that's handling the case versus the ethics board. So I would just make that a recommendation. And then the second is I would give the board the flexibility to convene because they have that flexibility under the charter already to convene, to make policy and bylaws, et cetera. But I would put in this document, just note that they have that flexibility to convene. And like I said, even if you don't put it in here, they would still have it. But I think for their purposes, it would help them to see that you can exercise the ability to convene. And part of that ability, like for example, it says that they shall have the authority to establish bylaws, rules, and regulations, so long as it's not inconsistent with the charter and the ordinance that you establish, you know, just for their procedure. So I would ask that you allow me to amend that to say that they can convene for purposes under subsection H of the charter. And then the third thing would be for clarification throughout that when we refer to the board, it's also and or a board panel because, for example, if they meet to make policy changes, you'll have the entire board. But if they're meeting to hear a specific case, you'll have just a panel. So I'd like to provide clarification that in certain instances, it will be a panel.
And is, from that, would you be recommending that they convene at some regular interval, create standard operating procedures for how that would be, how that board, that panel would be created or worked? And then would they introduce that to council or would they keep that?
So I wouldn't recommend a regular interval because there really wouldn't be a lot for them to do with no pending ethics complaint. But I think at least an initial meeting, one, to establish a chair, just when they do meet amongst themselves, who will be the chair, to introduce themselves, to maybe have a level of training to acclimate themselves with the processes, to meet the staff that they'll be working with. So I do recommend an initial meeting. And then after that, if they want to meet again, if they think that there's a purpose, if they had a panel and they had issues that they think that the ordinance can be strengthened or revised to accommodate any issues that occurred, you know, during an ethics complaint, they would have on their own right, they would have the ability to convene and meet.
And to be clear, that right is given to them in the charter as a board commissioner authority to convene.
Yeah, and that's correct.
This isn't net new. You're
That's
just
correct.
clarifying, but they already have that right.
Correct, they already
Is it
have that
not your
right,
argument
correct.
that we're not doing anything that's stated in the charter and that we're just going to make procedures as we see fit?
Not my argument at all.
Why are we not having 7?
Right.
So Madam Clerk has came up with the additional items that she wanted to make to the amendment itself. Is there anything else, Councilman Ferguson, that you want to add?
No.
Okay, with that being said, is there a second to the motion that Councilman Ferguson has made?
Oh, can you repeat your motion, please? Because I keep on hearing you saying 3 randomly selected.
From the 7, yes.
From
correct.
the 7, but how is there 3 randomly selected if the mayor is supposed to have an appointee?
I will not.
You will not,
No.
okay.
Well,
so
he
that's-
won't have an automatic appointee, but he will still have
I
an
will
appointee.
still have an appointee.
Right, yes,
That's-
right, out of the,
okay.
yeah, okay.
Right,
Right,
yeah.
it's
But
3
not one of
randomly
the-
selected
Right.
individuals out of the 7, which are chosen by the council.
Mayor and council.
Okay, so that's your motion. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused with what Amelia, the changes Amelia made, and then what you're, so we're not doing that at this point.
To be clear, she did not make any changes because the original reading on May 24th is still standing. There was no change that was made at the last meeting. The last meeting was to table. So what Councilman Ferguson is doing is going back to the May 24th.
That
And-
wasn't his motion. His motion was to table an interim to make these changes that were stated. That is what the motion was. I don't think it
Yes.
was a valid motion because to table it is one motion and to amend it would be a second, but it was allowed. So it's very unclear. I don't know how anyone could vote in favor of this.
Well, the motion has been made and it's up for a second.
I second.
Motion has been made and second. I will call the question. All in favor of consideration and approval of the ordinance creating Chapter 2 for the Code of Ethics for the City of Mableton, including the amendments that Councilman Ferguson has made, along with those changes that the that the attorney has specified that goes along with the changes that he's asked for in the motion. Everyone, please say aye if you're in favor.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
What is it that we're even voting? Can you even?
We've already voted, it's passed. We will move on, thank you.
I mean, take it off the table.
It was,
I want to see the ordinance.
we just voted on something specifically, but it's not the first time we've done it, it's not the last time we're gonna do it. He made the motion very clear, it was voted upon. That's it. We're going to now move on to item 11, which is our new business, which is consideration and approval of professional services agreement between the Institute of Building Technology and Safety, which is known as IBTS, and the City of Mableton for transitional services for planning and zoning, the adoption of zoning ordinances, training, and other related services. This is new business. This is related directly to our planning and zoning for the city. As we all know, this is one of our key elements or key services that we'll be transitioning from the county to the city. There's been several meetings that's taken place between IBTS and the City of Mableton. It was brought up earlier that IBTS will be that partner, specifically working with Rob Hosack. Rob Hosack's name was mentioned earlier. He is a long-time Cobb County city leader, county leader. He's actually the architect, a lot of people call it, of the actual zoning ordinance for the city. Mr. Hosack, will be the primary director or principal on this effort. The approval or the consideration for this has been passed around and is part of the agenda. And so as part of this, I know there were some questions about planning and zoning, what's happening. They are at the ready to help us come in, take over zoning, work through that process with the county. Again, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. In conjunction with this, isn't part of this business here, but we will have our planning commission as well as our zoning appeals board. That training will be conducted once we select appointees for those commissions and boards. I think that training is scheduled to happen on May 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. So there's going to be a lot of momentum, things happening between now and then. It's imperative for us to get this approval so they can actually begin working. I think city manager and I met this week with that team, and they are ready to go. As a matter of fact, they will start as soon as we have approval. City manager, is there anything you'd like to add to this new business?
Yes, that we're ready to go once this is approved by Mayor and Council. We have a standby meeting. Once we got the green light, we'll get things going, and I'll keep the Mayor and Council updated on our progress.
Madam Attorney.
So Mayor, I do have comments on this. Ordinarily, those comments would relate to personnel as far as duties and responsibilities. if possible, if we could defer this to maybe after executive session. And if you're not inclined, then I could still tell you during the comment portion now.
I
or the
think there's
discussion.
because this does have some personnel component to it, I think it is fair to move this to executive session, or at least hold off on this. I don't want to move it because I want to make sure that we progress this tonight, because they literally are ready to start and the time is ticking on this. But we can hold off on this until after executive session if there's additional information that you have related to the specifics of the contract.
Yes, if the council would so move.
Thank you. So,
Cosmetics.
yes, go ahead.
As we're putting this into, as an ordinance, there's a piece in here, and it's, again, purely cosmetics, but the payment terms and process, that section speaks to invoices will be emailed to the city as follows, and it lists the mayor. Is that the way that this needs to be routed, or should it be routed a different way?
It will not be. We actually started this process before our city manager came on board.
Right.
So he will, as he just mentioned earlier, he will be the point of contact and will be the one working directly with them.
So we want to just change that section in here.
Indeed. I think specifically for the technical notices, contractual, I will still sign the agreement, but our city manager will be the technical point of contact for this.
And then the last other question I have is about the insurance piece. These would not be city employees until they are. But so we would be using IBTS's insurance policy for any of the commercial general liability insurance and those insurance pieces.
Yeah, it clearly states that they shall maintain the insurance, and for us, it's a line item. It's a contract.
Yeah, okay.
There was some discussion around, again, as it relates to personnel, but that's specifically not germane to the contract itself, because they may, you know, who they decide to use is
right
outside of Mr. Hosek.
And then if the council could just move to table this following executive session, just, I think that procedurally.
I'd entertain a motion to move item 11A, to table it until after executive session.
I second.
All those in favor of moving item 11A to the table until we return from executive session, please say aye. Aye. All those against, say nay. Hearing no opposition, it passed. Thank you. We will move on to 11B. 11B is a consideration and approval of the City of Mableton recognizing Georgia Cities Week. Madam Clerk, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, this is just another way that we're celebrating cities. The Georgia Municipal Association has Georgia Cities Week all over Georgia, and a lot of cities do special events, maybe like Touch a Truck or something with the fire department or other items, but we were incorporated just in 2022, so we don't have a special event, but we do want to recognize our city, and on behalf of Georgia Municipal Association, because they know how important cities are and how close we are to our constituents and to the citizens. So we have a special resolution that we will send to Georgia Municipal Association.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's great. It's no secret that GMA has been a strong supporting part of helping to build the city, and they will continue to be going forward. They also produce this Georgia Cities magazine. I don't know if there's any out front, but if any of you would like to take a look at it, please do. It's a lot of informative, helpful information in there. And Georgia Cities Week, as the clerk said, a lot of cities are celebrating this in different ways, bringing residents into City Hall and city government, and basically celebrating the cities. It's something I definitely look forward to us being able to partake in next year and have a full week of events around Georgia Cities Week. So thank you.
Just need a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to entertain a motion to consider and approve the resolution that we have for Georgia Cities Week that we can get to GMA.
I second.
I asked to entertain a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I make a motion for the approval of the resolution of the City of Mableton recognizing Georgia Cities Week.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the resolution for recognizing Georgia Cities Week, please say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you for that. We'll move on to item 12. Item 12 is other business and issue items for discussion. The only item we have on this is the update for the comp plan based around the RFQ. I think I mentioned before that we were what I consider pretty successful with our RFQ as request for qualifications that went out, considering our need for a comp plan. As I mentioned before, comp plan is very important. We're calling it our Mableton 2045, which is going to lay out our framework for the next 20 years here in the city. It was mentioned earlier during public comment how this is one of the additional components that is very important to our city going forward. What I want to say tonight on that is we did have 6 respondents for that. They're all credible and competent firms. I'm sure I have read through all of the responses that came back in. I've moved forward with completing and rating those. At this point in time, though, I've spoken with a couple of council members and do understand that there's some additional time that's going to be needed to complete the ranking and reviews from other council members. So what I want to do right now is ask that the council, I think along with our city manager, take some time between now and our next meeting to completely review all those, complete the review and ranking, so that by the next meeting we will be able to, I would like to be able to aggregate those into, you know, the top firms from that, and hopefully be able to make a nomination to be able to move us forward in choosing a company to be able to work with. Again, the clock is ticking on this. This is vital that we get going. A lot of those companies have said that this is a process that takes months, a lot of months to work through. The members of the community will be engaged. The RFQ specifically called out for specific focus areas, for focus groups, but also a steering committee that will be created as part of this, as well as several public hearings, a website that will keep everyone updated what's going on, as well as regular feedback into that process. So I again take this opportunity to ask that the council review, do the ratings prior to our next meeting. The expectation is that it will be on the agenda again at a next meeting, however, on the agenda to actually vote on a company to move forward. So this, I'll open the floor if anyone has any comments or questions related to that. Hearing none, thank you. I appreciate that. That takes us to item 13, which is the city manager's comments.
Mr. Mayor and Council, no comments other than I will ask that a motion be made by the council to go into executive session for the purpose of real estate discussion.
Thank you, sir. Item 14, Madam Attorney, do you have any comments? No comments, Mayor. Madam Clerk?
No comments.
Councilman Davis?
Yes, just briefly. Again, I want to congratulate Mableton Improvement Coalition and the City of Mableton for Mableton Day. It was an outstanding event. You guys really worked hard, and it showed. It showed. So thank you for an outstanding, showing of representing the city. Also, just again, always it's good to see everybody here, and just to encourage you too. There are a number of organizations within the community and the city that need help and need volunteers. I see Barry Krebs here with Keep Car Beautiful, and does outstanding work, but I could always use help. Of course, Mableton Improvement Coalition, They do an outstanding job, but they could always use more help, I'm sure. And I did see the president of the Austell Community Task Force who was here, and they definitely need help. They've been doing work in the community, so encourage your loved ones and family members, friends, or whatever, to get involved in the city, in the community, because when everybody gets involved, it's a win-win for everybody. And I'm going to let Councilwoman Oladapo make another announcement as well.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see you tonight. And Councilman Davis pretty much just went down my list. I want to thank Mick and the City of Mableton for the wonderful event. I had a terrific time, but I think my toddler had the best time than I did. But thank you so much for bringing the community together in such an amazing way. And I also wanted to share that Councilman Davis and I have a town hall coming up for District 1 and 2 on the 7th of May. We have some flyers out there. We're hoping to see you all there. We're so excited to share a lot of information with you, from public safety to financial, to plans and vision and goals for our district. And I think it's going to be a great time. It's happening at Pure Hope Church on Mableton Parkway. And, we hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's great to see you all here today. As always, I want to thank you for being here. As you may know, for the past couple of weeks, I've been out of commission because I wasn't feeling my best, but thankfully I'm feeling much better now. And if you know me, you'll know it's difficult for me to take a break. I'm usually, full throttle, full swing, constantly working and pushing forward, but I had to, pause for a minute, and now I'm back, and I just want to thank everybody who reached out to me. Your calls, emails, messages, truly meant a lot. And as a council, we may not always agree and see eye to eye, but it was incredibly heartwarming to know that every single council member reached out to me to check on me to make sure I was okay. So I want to thank you for all the well wishes and support, and it really means a lot. And as you all know, the city of Mableton has been going through a legal battle to defend our cityhood, and this has been going on for almost a year now. So we've had this cloud kind of over the city. We went to court on March 6th of this year, and a few days ago we received great news that the judge ruled in our favor, and the case was dismissed fully with prejudice, which means that the court's decision was final and the case cannot be brought back to court. So I'm overjoyed by this decision. I want to take the opportunity to thank our attorney, Amelia Walker, for her legal expertise, her guidance, and support throughout this journey. I also want to thank Chief Justice Harold Melton and his staff at Troutman Pepper for their outstanding efforts in advocating on our behalf. And lastly, for those who challenged us and opposed us to cityhood, I really hope that we can lessen the divide and embrace the spirit of unity and reconciliation. Hopefully we can set aside our differences and collectively build a city that we can all be proud of. I also want to mention, I'm honored that the city of Mableton recognizes literacy as a community priority. It's vital that we come together to develop more policies and programs that support literacy initiatives across, our city, our county, and our state. I was astounded by the nearly 70% of fourth graders that cannot read proficiently. That's an alarming statistic, and it's really concerning. And it does definitely highlight the urgency for our collaborative efforts to address literacy issues at both the local and the state level. So designating today as Mayor's Reading Club Day in our city serves as a powerful reminder of our collective responsibility to promote literacy and then foster this culture of reading and learning. As I've said before, I fell in love with reading and writing around 5 years old, and it opened me up to a whole new world of possibilities. So I understand firsthand the profound impact, the value of being able to communicate and engage through reading and writing. It's a gift we must continue to nurture and pass on to the younger generation. So let's support the mayor, work together to ensure that every child has the opportunity to unlock this transformative power of reading and writing. It's vitally important. I also want to thank Mick and the Taste of Mableton. I wasn't able to be there at the Taste of Mableton because I was healing. But I want to thank you. My mom enjoyed herself. She had an amazing time. And thank you, Robin, for all that you do. And then lastly, I want to extend a happy birthday to our mayor. I believe he has a birthday coming up this week. It's a milestone. I won't say what it is.
Getting old.
But 30.
I'll be middle-aged.
The new
He
30.
said you'll be middle-aged, okay?
Yes.
But happy birthday, Mayor.
Thank you.
That's all I
ma'am.
have.
Thank you. Councilman Ock.
No comments.
Councilman Ferguson.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming and being the faithful Mableton 20. Appreciate you, and thank you for your continued support. So I want to take a minute to explain kind of City Council in these proceedings. I know I've kind of said this in the past, but more importantly, apologize publicly if it appears I'm being combative with any council member. We generally receive the agenda a few days before these meetings and have some time to review and think about how we will present ourselves in this open forum. Unfortunately, there can never be enough time with some of these items, which is why you might hear me or others ask for a motion to table the discussion. Personally, I enjoy the conversation had with my council mates outside of this public meeting simply because it truly gives me an opportunity for more dialogue. And while we might disagree at times, I never want to appear combative. I enjoy active listening. It's what gives each of us and you a voice that I work to fully understand. This is why you might see me staring off into space during the meetings, is because I want to fully hear what the council members state. The mayor and I talk at length, so I understand his view. I talk with different council members, so I understand their views. So please don't diminish me or this meeting. I truly enjoy hearing the viewpoints of my fellow council members and the mayor before I make a decision. Again, we might not agree on everything, and that's why we each have a vote. Our charter is our charter, and we have to live within our charter. I personally love that we are arguing for the information that's in the charter, that Councilwoman Ock, Councilwoman Herndon, and others are always making sure that we're staying with the charter. I also love that I was elected to my position as city councilman. We will live with our charter, and it generally states that we, the council, will create ordinances, which means law. Let me also state that this is what I'll call a very expensive meeting. So, meaning that this city is paying a fee for me to sit here, and you, our citizens, need to know without a shadow of a doubt that and I got you. So we are going to continue to have our conversations. We're going to continue to talk through what it is that we need to talk through as a council, and we're going to continue to drive this city forward together. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Herndon.
Thank you. Real quickly, just want to say thank you for everyone who's out tonight. And I just wanted to take a moment to shout out the South Cobb Library. I know when I was growing up, I lived in the library, and it is such a wonderful place, and they're constantly engaged with the community. They have so many activities. So I just want to encourage those of you who are kids at heart or avid readers, or just need to kind of get a break from your home environment, to go check out what they have going on there, because they're amazing, and there's a reason why they won the award for being such an amazing library. So I just want to encourage you all to just include that in your repertoire, and that's it for me.
Thank you. I don't have a lot for this evening that I want to share with everyone. I do want to echo the Taste of Mableton, which was a fantastic event, and thanks for Mick for everything they do within the community. It's great to have an event like that truly pulls everybody together, pull the community together. So happy for that. And a special shout out that I want to give as it relates to that was the ROTC youth that were there, and the bands. The band did a fantastic job from South Cobb High School, Pebblebrook High School, and Osborne. They did their thing. They were proud. They were Even as it started to get warmer in the day, they're out there in full regalia and played their hearts out. So I just want to give all of them a shout out for a great job that they did during that time. There was reference that was brought up about the lawsuit and the outcome from that this past week. As I've said plenty of times before, it's it's a great country that we live in where we have democracy. When people don't agree with something, they have the right to protest, the right to go in front of a judge and a court and have their opinions heard. And that happened. And I've said all along the way that was their right. What I'll say at this point is the judge has made her ruling, and it was a pretty substantial ruling. So coming out of that, it is a time for us, hopefully now, to be able to come together, to unite as 6 districts, to unite as almost 80,000 people, the 12th largest city in this state. To truly be united, it doesn't matter what side of Veterans Memorial you live on, doesn't matter how close or far away you live from the Chattahoochee River. This is an opportunity for all of us to come together. I will specifically say, as mayor, if there's people out there that still are not happy about being in the city of Mableton, 2 things I'm going to say is, number 1, come talk to me. I made this statement when I first got elected. I will make it again. If you have concerns, legitimate concerns, I'm not talking about the election was rigged. I'm not talking about what may or may have been on the ballot. If you have concerns about how the city is going to go forward, or what this city is going to mean to you as a resident, my door is open. My phone number is available. My email address is public. Reach out to me. I'm happy to set up a meeting and come to an HOA, have whatever that needs to be to ensure that you get your questions, concerns voiced directly with the mayor of the city, because I'm willing to hear it. The second thing I'd have to say about people that have concerns is just continue to watch us grow and build and do the right things for the right reasons. Because regardless of what vote counts are on this council, I sincerely believe that everyone has the best interest as it relates to the city. We have to feel that way almost now, because there is no question of concerns about the constitutionality of the city. We are here, we're here to stay, we're here to serve the citizens of the great city of Mableton, and we will continue to do so. So with that being said, thank you, everyone. I'd like to entertain a motion to move us into executive session for litigation, real estate, personnel.
I'd like to make a motion for us to go to executive session for litigation, real estate, and personnel.
I second.
Thank you. So being moved and seconded, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor of going to executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. We'll go into executive session. Thank you all. If you will not be sticking around until we come out of executive session, thank you for coming and showing up. I do appreciate it and hope to see you at our next meeting.
Thank you.
7 minutes.
7.